Karen called police over bird feeder noise. She poisoned seeds and got fined. Have you ever wondered what drives someone to turn a simple neighborhood dispute into a full-blown scandal? In the quiet suburb of Willow Creek, a bird feeder became the spark that ignited a firestorm of rage, betrayal, and retribution. It wasn't just about chirping birds, it was about one woman's crusade that spiraled into chaos, leaving a trail of poisoned seeds and shattered trust. The trouble began on a crisp autumn morning when Karen Mitchell, a fastidious homeowner with a reputation for perfectionism, stormed out of her pristine colonial-style house, her face twisted in fury. The source of her ire? The cheerful chirping from her neighbor Tom's backyard bird feeder, a wooden haven for sparrows and finches that hung from an old oak tree. To Karen, the melodic chatter was an unbearable assault on her peace, a cacophony that disrupted her morning yoga and evening wine time. She'd already confronted Tom, a retired biology teacher with a gentle demeanor, demanding he remove the feeder. "It's a nuisance," she'd barked, her voice echoing across their shared fence. Tom, ever the peacemaker, offered to move it farther from her property line. But Karen wasn't having it. She wanted it gone permanently. Karen's campaign escalated quickly. She began documenting the noise pollution, recording bird sounds on her phone at all hours, her obsession growing with each tweet and flutter. She called the police, claiming the birds were a public disturbance, a threat to her sanity. The officers, bemused, explained that bird feeders weren't illegal and suggested she resolve it civilly. But Karen, undeterred, saw their dismissal as a challenge. If the law wouldn't help, she'd take matters into her own hands. And that's when the real trouble began. Unbeknownst to Tom or the neighborhood, Karen had been researching ways to solve her bird problem. Late one night, under the cover of darkness, she crept into her garage and mixed a batch of birdseed with a toxic pesticide she'd found online, a substance banned for its lethal effects on wildlife. With a twisted sense of triumph, she sprinkled the poisoned seeds around Tom's feeder, ensuring the birds would feast on her deadly offering. The next morning, the feeder was a grim scene. Sparrows lay lifeless on the grass, their tiny bodies scattered like fallen leaves. Tom discovered the carnage and was devastated, his hands trembling as he gathered the birds, his heart breaking for the creatures he'd loved watching. Word spread fast. The neighborhood WhatsApp group lit up with outrage, and Tom, suspecting foul play, contacted a local wildlife rescue group. They tested the seeds and confirmed the presence of poison, a violation of environmental laws. The community turned on Karen, their once tolerated neighbor now a pariah. But the truth was about to get murkier. Enter Sarah, a quiet single mother who lived across the street. She'd been silent during the feud, but now she stepped forward with a bombshell. She'd seen Karen sneaking into Tom's yard that night, her flashlight bobbing in the dark. Sarah had been up late, soothing her toddler, when she spotted the act through her window. She hadn't said anything at first, fearing Karen's wrath, but the sight of the dead birds pushed her to speak. "I couldn't stay quiet anymore," Sarah said at a neighborhood meeting, her voice shaking but resolute. She crossed a line. The confrontation came at a community gathering in the local park, a tense showdown under the shade of ancient maples. Tom, clutching a report from the wildlife group, faced Karen in front of their neighbors. "You did this," he said, his voice steady but laced with pain. "You killed them because you couldn't stand a little noise." Karen, cornered, tried to deflect. "I was protecting my property. Those birds were a menace, and no one listened to me." Her words rang hollow, met with gasps and murmurs from the crowd. Sarah stepped forward, her testimony sealing Karen's fate. "I saw you with the poison, Karen. You can't lie your way out of this." The crowd erupted, some shouting, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Karen's face flushed red, her usual composure crumbling under the weight of collective judgment. The law moved swiftly. The police, now armed with evidence, charged Karen with illegal use of a controlled substance and wildlife endangerment. At the hearing, the courtroom was packed with neighbors, bird watchers, and even local news crews. Karen's defense was flimsy. She claimed she only meant to scare the birds, not kill them, but the judge wasn't buying it. The evidence was damning. The pesticide container found in her garage, the witness account, and the lab results. She was fined $5,000, ordered to pay restitution to Tom for the damage to his property, and mandated to complete 200 hours of community service at a wildlife rehabilitation center. As the gavel fell, Karen's shoulders slumped, her defiance replaced by a hollow stare. The woman who'd once ruled the neighborhood with her complaints was now its outcast, her reputation as toxic as the seeds she'd spread. But the story didn't end with Karen's punishment. The neighborhood rallied around Tom, transforming the tragedy into something beautiful. Sarah organized a fundraiser to replace the bird feeder with a sturdier, predator-proof model, and donations poured in from across town. Local kids painted colorful signs celebrating the birds, turning Tom's backyard into a community sanctuary. Bird watchers from nearby counties visited, sharing stories of their own feathered friends, and Tom found himself at the heart of a movement. He started hosting weekly bird breakfasts, where neighbors gathered to watch finches and cardinals, their chatter drowning out the memory of Karen's complaints. Even Sarah, once shy, became a regular, her toddler giggling as he tossed safe, organic seeds into the feeder. Karen, meanwhile, faded from the spotlight. She kept her curtains drawn, her once manicured lawn growing wild. Some said she was too ashamed to show her face. Others whispered she was planning to move. The community service seemed to hit her hardest working at the wildlife center. She faced the consequences of her actions daily, cleaning cages and feeding injured birds under the watchful eyes of volunteers who knew her story. One volunteer, a gruff old man named Ed, took pity on her. "You messed up, but you're here now," he told her one day, handing her a bucket of mealworms. "Make it right by learning something." Whether Karen took his words to heart, no one knew, but the sight of her quietly tending to the birds was a stark contrast to the woman who'd once raged against them. In the end, Willow Creek emerged stronger, its people bound by a shared love for the simple joy of birdsong. Tom's feeder became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that even the ugliest conflicts could spark change. The neighborhood learned to lustento the birds, to each other, and to the quiet voice of conscience that Sarah had found. As for Karen, her story became a cautionary tale, whispered at block parties and over coffee, a reminder that vengeance poisons more than its target. The birds returned, their songs louder than ever, and Willow Creek sang with them. What do you think? Where do you draw the line between standing up for your peace and crossing into harm? Share your thoughts below.